Hey guys, today I'll show you a horror film. Caveat. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins when an injured woman named Alda is wandering around an old, neglected house. It appears as if she is trying to find something inside the house. When she enters a room, she raises a bunny doll holding a drum. Suddenly, the creepy bunny doll plays the drums as it detects something inside the room. The doll she holds leads her to a basement where she finds the doll drumming at a wall. As the doll stops drumming, Alda checks what is behind the wall. She opens the wall with a small saw she found in the basement. She then peeks inside the hole, and we see a man at the other end of the hole, knocking a small window. The following scene shows a conversation between two men. The man from the previous clip, named Isaac, is talking with a friend named Barrett. Isaac lost his memories, so Barrett has a hard time talking with him. Barrett then gives Isaac a babysitting job at an isolated house. Isaac asks questions about the girl he'll babysit, as well as her parents' condition. Barrett gives him grim information about his brother's death and the girl's mother disappearing. Barrett tries to convince Isaac to accept the job by adding good pay, and Isaac reluctantly accepts. The following day, they arrive at a lake with an island in the middle of it. Isaac voices his complaints about the house's location amidst the lake to Barrett because he can't swim. Barrett responds to his complaints as he discovers Isaac's inability. Barrett still urges Isaac to go to the house, and they go there using a boat. As they cross the lake to get to the island, they arrive at the old, neglected house. Both enter and look around the house, and it is shown that this is the house from the previous clip. Barrett then reveals the client to be Alda, the woman from the previous clip. Barrett gives Isaac information regarding the islands of a teenage girl screaming. Barrett says that this is nothing to be worried about, since the screams come from foxes. The more Isaac hears about the job details, the more worried he gets. Barrett then gives Isaac some house rules when he ladysits Alba. He also tells Isaac about the paranoia of Alba before going to another room. As Barrett exits the other room, he gives Isaac a harness with a chain. He explains to Isaac that this is Alicia's sorts that can help Alba be less paranoid of Isaac. They both then head over to Alba to introduce Isaac to her. As they arrive at her room, they see her sitting beside the bed and covering her eyes. Barrett explains her condition as a kind of schizophrenia and starts strapping a harness on Isaac. After Isaac gets strapped in his harness, Barrett locks his harness and leaves them both as Isaac's job begins. Isaac then looks around the house and sees the leash's chain leading to the basement. He doesn't head down, but instead continues to wander around the house. Isaac tries to use the bathroom, but the length of the chains on his harness doesn't allow him to. He then decides to head outside and sees a good-tempered dog, which he quickly befriends. Right then, the dog seems to sense a presence behind Isaac, which really scares the dog shit out of the dog. The presence then starts pulling his leash. Isaac is startled by this and tries to find who pulled his leash and scared the shit out of the dog intentionally. He checks on Alda, but sees that she still has her schizophrenic fits. Later that evening, Isaac goes to sleep, but senses a presence looking at him in his room. He then notices the painting looking at him, but tries to ignore it. However, the painting looks more intense the more he sees it. While trying to avoid the painting, he hears voices from it which makes him unable to sleep. After having insomnia, he wanders the house again and notices something in the chimney. There he finds the creepy bunny doll that Alba uses. Alba interrupts his investigation and intimidates him with her crossbow. She then interrogates Isaac as her paranoia kicks in, thinking he is bad. Isaac manages to calm her down, and they have a conversation about her parents. Alba tells him about the past tragic event, leading to her father's suicide and mother's disappearance. It's revealed that Alda's father is shown to be claustrophobic, and her mother tried to prank him for his phobia. Her mother used the same harness that Isaac used to trap her father. Alda's mother then thought of a sick prank by swallowing the key to the lock of the harness. Because of this, Alda's father became stressed from his claustrophobia. After the prank happened, Alda's mother disappeared, and her father committed suicide after being trapped in the basement. After the revelation, Alda returns to her room, and Isaac tries to go to sleep. However, Isaac still couldn't sleep, and he went to sit in the living room. Isaac then sits in the living room chair and attempts to sleep. Suddenly, the doll wakes him up by drumming, and Isaac notices it reacts to the basement door. The doll then continues drumming as the door behind Isaac opens and a presence approaches him. When the doll stops drumming, Isaac notices the basement door open. He then goes to the basement to investigate. He arrives inside the basement and notices a hole in the wall. He tries to look, but can't see anything. He finds a flashlight inside the room and takes a look again. As he looks inside the hole with light, he is shocked to see a corpse inside smiling at him. Isaac leaves the room and heads over to Alba and demands an explanation. He arrives at her room, but sees her in her usual schizophrenic fits. Seeing that she is unaware of his presence, Isaac decides to call Barrett. Isaac explains the corpse he found in the basement to Barrett and asks for help. Barrett agrees to help and warns him not to tell Alda or the police. As Barrett hangs up the call, Isaac heads back to the basement. Isaac then thinks of a plan to break the leash so that he can escape. Suddenly, Alda calls from the intercoms of the house, asking why she is locked in her room. Isaac tells her that he found her mother and her uncle is coming. Isaac thinks that she killed her own mother, but Alda pleads that she didn't. Alda then explains to Isaac that the real killer is her father and uncle. Isaac decides to hear her story and heads back to her room. As he arrives at her room, Alda explains how her mother was killed because she was crazy. Alda hid the truth because she didn't want her father to be remembered as the killer of his own wife. Alda also revealed the shocking truth that his father was pushed to suicide by Isaac himself. Isaac didn't believe her smelly shit as he didn't remember anything. Alda tells him that her uncle says Isaac did lock her father up in the basement for a job. This job pushed Alda's father to commit suicide due to his phobia. Isaac still doesn't believe her and demands proof from her uncle. After calling Barrett, Isaac then asks if what she said is true. Uncle Barrett confirms it, and Isaac then panics more and wants to call the police for an investigation. Alda doesn't follow Isaac's request and gets secret instructions from her uncle. Isaac gets worried about this and rushes to the basement to escape from the leash. Isaac tries to pull out the leash's anchor, but to no avail. He then goes up to the kitchen to find something that can help him escape. Seeing that there is nothing to help, he heads over to Alda's room to grab the harness's key. He peeks inside Alda's room and sees the key near the phone. As he tries to grab the keys, Alda grabs his self-hormone let-go hands and breaks his finger. Isaac retreats from her room and into the kitchen. Overcoming great pains in his self-hormone let-go hand, he rearranges his broken finger and notices a newspaper about Alda's mother. He also sees that there is a spare key for the harness around on her necklace. Isaac manages to find and grab the spare keys for the harness and escapes. Suddenly, the power of the house goes out and Isaac explores the house. The eerie atmosphere causes Isaac to be on edge as he hears a woman crying from different directions. Isaac finds his way to Alda's room where he sees her in one of her schizophrenic fits. Because of this, he manages to strap the harness on her and lock it to restrain her. Isaac looks for the phone but sees the phone line is cut. Isaac is worried that they will become even more isolated on the island. Going back to the past, we see a younger Isaac having a conversation again with Barrett. They talk about a job where Isaac locks Barrett's brother in the basement. Barrett is seen to have some dark secrets that he doesn't want to be exposed, hence wanting to kill his brother, who is very unstable after the mother's murder. The young Isaac accepts the job and heads over to Alda's house. Meanwhile, Isaac in the present wakes up from his memories and is shocked by the truth. He manages to calm himself and plans his escape. On the other side, Alda manages to retrieve her crossbow while Isaac is sleeping. She shoots at Isaac in the bathroom. Alda misses the shot and that alerts Isaac. Isaac then locks himself in the bathroom and tries to find a weapon to defend himself. Seeing that there is no weapon for him, he peeks outside the bathroom and sees that Alda is gone. Isaac heads over to the phone to try and call for help, but remembers that the line is cut. He then senses danger at the hole near the phone and manages to avoid death when Alda shoots at him. The crossbow bolt impales Isaac's leg, but unfortunately, it misses his balls. Then we see another flashback of Isaac. The flashback shows young Isaac approaching the house and preparing for Barrett's job. After Isaac writes his warning for Barrett's brother, he hears a distant laugh. He follows the voice and arrives at the basement. Isaac is confused since the basement is locked from the outside. Inside the basement, he notices a crossbow on the floor and inspects it. Isaac hears a loud boom in the dark area of the basement. Isaac then explores the tunnel-like dark area of the basement. After a while, he is greeted by a bloody man's face. Isaac runs his ass away from the house as fast as he can after seeing that face. Isaac returns home and tries to forget the man's face. He then realizes that it was Barrett's brother in the basement and is still alive. This past memory reveals that Isaac wasn't the actual killer, but someone else killed Barrett's brother. Barrett visits Isaac later and asks about the job and informs him of his brother's funeral. Barrett tells Isaac that his brother is already dead when he finds him in the basement. Isaac tells Barrett that someone had already locked his brother inside before Isaac arrived. Isaac then accuses Barrett that he locked it beforehand. Barrett denies it since that logic doesn't make sense because he is paying Isaac for the job. Barrett then proceeds to pay Isaac for the work done. Isaac refuses the money, saying that the job was already done before he got there. Barrett then shows Isaac the warning he wrote. Barrett warns Isaac about his mistake, and it should never happen again. After Barrett leaves Isaac's home, Isaac drinks his guilt away on the balcony. We then see Barrett ominously approaching Isaac near the balcony. The flashback ends when Isaac suddenly wakes up in the bathroom. He continues to hide from Alda, who is hunting him. Isaac manages to remove the arrow in his leg and find a secret passageway in the bathroom. He crawls inside the secret path to escape from Alda. Isaac arrives at the basement where Alda's mother's corpse is. He tries to escape by breaking through the wall using the saw lodged in the wall. After sawing for a while, Alda's mother's corpse moved its head. Isaac thinks that he might have just bumped into it and ignores it. He continues to see but is interrupted by Alda. Alda senses that Isaac might be in the basement, but her search is also interrupted by Barrett. Barrett scolds her for her screw-up and searches for Isaac. Olga shoots him with her crossbow in anger and leaves Barrett alone. Barrett is in shock at what happened, but still prepares an ambush for Isaac. While Barrett is waiting in ambush, Isaac suddenly calls him from the intercom in the basement. Realizing that Isaac must have escaped, Barrett checks on who is trying to escape the hole in the wall. When Barrett checks who is trying to escape, he is horrified to see Alda's mother's corpse as she attacks him. Meanwhile, Isaac escapes through a canal in the house and brings the dog with him. Alda then spots Isaac, and they stare at each other as the movie ends. It seems that the paranormal activity in the movie is the action of Alda's mother in her attempts to reveal the truth about her disappearance and to lure her real killers so she would kill him. This is Daniel's CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.